karanasan ko po, hindi na ba nakasalanan natin dito?
Media educators are warning calls to defend press freedom.
This corruption in media will
Good evening. You're watching News Cafe on the Solar News Channel. I'm Mitzi Borromeo. Over the years, there has been a remarkable change in technology and methods on how journalism is done. And since last year, we have tried to get a wider perspective on how journalism is being practiced today from the eyes of some of the most respected journalists.
The quality of journalists, Ferhel. By and large, I personally feel that we're still getting the stories right.
Oh yes, I think so too. I mean, you know, there are layers of check, in place, because this is an organized. This is a vetted practice. So merong layers of check, and this is beside the point on whether we are doing it or not. The point is that the government has nothing to do with it. I mean, people like them should have nothing to do with it at all. Because apart from our own, the checking that we do ourselves, there is the public, there is the market, that is supposed to keep us honest.
But we're talking about news. We're not talking about opinion.
Yeah.
Kasi in this country, opinion has become news.
Yeah. That's the particularity dito. That's what makes it weird. Na dapat, much of what appears sa mga columns really, parang in fact, this is really the news behind the news. Hindi naman talaga mga opinion yan eh. It's the news behind the news. Dapat pala kasi may reportorial, yung reportage pa lang from the start. Pero Verhel is right there. Okay pa naman yung you have outfits like Center for Investigative Journalism. You have the blogs that can correct. Ang feeling ko, a democracy is a marketplace of ideas.
Yeah.
The best idea will really, at some point, dictate the terms of, quality will really, rise on top at some point. That's our concept of democracy.
Is it okay that news organizations are redefining news? Magiging opinion.
Well, alam mo, sa akin, whether may opinion dyan o wala, o marami opinion dyan sa news, really makes no difference to me. Ang pinag-usapan dito is quality, because in certain cases, given the nature of the times today, the times are very complex. And because of that, we precisely need a higher and higher levels of skills and understanding to be able to practice right. It's catch-up. It's a catch-up game. It's always like that.
Are we?
Tama na, if you mean by redefining the news, yung I've seen that. Some networks really, in the middle of the news, nagko-comment. That's really it's redefining things.
And you see main anchors.
In a really bad way.
And you see main anchors, news anchors, that have, that are commentators.
Yeah, and that
as well.
I disagree with talaga completely. I think that's not a good idea.
Sa aking pag-iisip, in my mind, masarap maging editorial cartoonist sa Pilipinas. Kasi ang Pilipino, mahilig sa kalokohan.
Mahilig sa comics.
Mahilig sa comics. No?
Kenkoy.
Kenkoy yung Pilipino. Madami ba kayo nagiging reaction o feedback sa mga ginagawa nyo?
Oo, marami naman. Kasi kaya nga tuloy-tuloy yung trabaho namin. Usually naman, constructive naman yung mga criticisms na dumarating. So, pampalakas ng loob. So, tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang drawing talaga.
I would guess lumalakas pa ngayon.
Bakit?
Mas malakas ba ngayon? Dahil mas politically aware, tsaka mas madami tao.
Correct.
Probably.
Probably. At saka naiintindihan nila na ito palang cartoons na ito ay may sinasabi. Hindi naman kailangan
Bakit?
basahin.
Dati ba hindi?
Ha?
Dati ba hindi?
Kenkoy lang. Akala nagpapatawa ka lang eh. Hindi na alam. Tumatama doon talaga sa particular na politician o government official na.
Ako naman, actually talagang yun yung motivation ko kung bakit nagpilit ako talaga maging editorial cartoonist. Kasi unlike paintings or sculptures, yung editorial cartoon talaga nag-i-speak sa bayan eh. Parang gusto mong paalam sa kanila na ito yung sitwasyon, ganito ang nangyayari sa atin, ito yung problema. Sa cartoon lang yun. Tapos sinasabi mo doon sa mga concerned government officials na gawa nyo ng paraan yung mga problemang to. Kaya parang sa akin talagang gusto kong makipag-communicate through my cartoon. Yun yung.
Tignan natin yung mga drawing nyo. Pakita natin yung unang drawing. DOJ, search for the Marcos wealth. Ano to? Yan eh.
Actually, the old guy represents the old crawling guy with the pick. Represents PCGG.
Okay.
It has outlived its usefulness. Parang
Kaya
ganun.
matanda na siya.
Matanda na, tapos
Okay.
kukunti naman yun nagawa niya through the years. Kaya yung responsibility niya, binibigay niya na sa DOJ to continue the job. Parang gano'n.
Tapos yung pickaxe dahil naguhukay siya.
Naguhukay siya ng hidden wealth.
Ng hidden wealth. Okay.
Parang gano'n. Tapos wala na, tapos na ako. Ito na. Ikaw, I'm passing the buck. Parang gano'n. Ikaw na ang bahala.
Okay. Welcome, graduates. Unemployment.
Unang-una, dali-dali na maintindihin talaga, no? Kasi pinapadali namin talaga intindihin. Yan yung talagang, sumasalubong talaga sa bagong graduates, ano? Nandun pa yung dating bagong graduates, yung unemployment na yan, yung mismatch jobs na yan.
Pero
yung
nakakatuwa
low-paying
kasi
jobs.
kung paano nyo nakaka-capture yung katulad niyan, Jess, yung facial expression ng graduate.
Ah.
No? Yung ang parang ang sinasabi, bakit ako wine-welcome nitong gusgusin na unemployment, no? Nag-aral naman ako, di ba? Graduate nga ako meron pa akong sombrero.
We have also invited and interviewed government officials, asking them how media has helped shape the government and the country.
But you also have a bullseye for being the spokesperson.
That's part of the job. I guess the worst part of my job was the first 2 weeks, I think.
Why?
That was the most. I didn't know how to handle media.
Media.
Coming as a practicing lawyer.
So you know how to handle media now?
I know how to deal with them. They're just as nice as you. Well, but seriously, the Malacanang press corps is really a nice bunch. They're very open to. I mean, the only thing that they ask is that they be given the news when it's required to be given.
You know that Malacanang is a terrible beat. Because there's no access. I mean, you know, you're subject as a president. If you're a reporter in Malacanang, very seldom do you see a president. When you do see him, it's an official briefing. So everything that you get is fed to you by the spokesperson or by an official press release. There are very rare opportunities for you to find the story inside Malacanang.
No, but if you look at this president compared to the former president, he's more accessible. On a given week, he might have at least 2 ambush interviews. And you get to ask all the questions that the press felt that were not answered. So you get a chance to talk to the president. And the president is very accessible. Early on in the administration, we asked the president, requested the president, Sir, baka pwedeng don't answer the questions kasi sumasagot siya sa mga tanong ng press. So
He's good at answering questions.
he's good, but it takes a lot of his time.
Okay.
And so he had to concentrate on his papers, official papers, the meetings. So the agreement was, if we don't know the answer, we'll just forward the text to the president, and he will respond to us. So it makes him easier for him to concentrate on his official papers. The much more difficult questions, we make sure we forward to the president to get his thoughts on the matter, or in our meetings, we ask him straight.
Do you think media in this country is biased one way or another?
Not the reporters. If you say bias in the sense of the columnists, understandably they would they would show their own opinions. But the Malacanang press corps are by and large fair to us. They report us how we relay to them, download it to them. And there are of course, some papers we've identified. This is friendly, this is objective, this is super anti. No matter what you say, it's going to be bad for the president.
How do you deal with that?
Well, they're all part of the Malacanang press corps. It's our duty to download the information to them. And we can't control how they frame the story or how they spin the story. That's up to them. We hope for good faith as we profess our own good faith to them. So But by and large, and I can say this, Malacanang press corps has been very fair to us, the president, to his administration.
If there was something you wanted to change in media in the Philippines, what would that be?
I spoke with a foreign correspondent and less sensationalism, I suppose.
Okay.
He was comparing their
The way they do
the way
news.
they do it and the way we do it here. And he observed that there's too much sensationalism, even in the broadsheets. And that's sometimes also the observation that we have.
How many tourists have come?
Well, in 2012, we closed the year with just about 4.3 million. So we finally crossed the 4 million mark,
Okay.
which means we are on track for the 10 million foreign tourist
The
target.
4.3 last year, was that on track with your projections before that?
No, that's slightly behind.
Slightly
We
behind.
fell south of the projection by about 180,000
Is this
people.
Is this the highest number we've ever had?
Oh, yes.
In the
This is
Philippines,
far and away
historically.
the highest, yes.
And
In
what
fact,
co-
we have grown in the last year and a half, more in terms of tourist arrivals than we have in the previous 8 years before that period.
Why are they coming now?
Well, two things, very important. First of all, we really think people have finally realized that it is indeed more fun in the Philippines.
Okay.
And
Tagal naman nila ma-realize na.
yeah, that is a function of the fact that we are actually more visible now.
Okay.
And second, we are more visible because more people are actually interested in what you could describe as the new Philippine atmosphere.
What is the new Philippine atmosphere?
It is a more dynamic country that is growing faster than most of the countries on earth. And you're bound to catch some attention when you're growing in an environment where the rest of the world is actually shrinking economically. I think I mentioned this to you before. Lifting the demand is the easy part of my job. It's getting the rest of the country to prepare to have the capability to release that demand. That is the name of the game for the next 3 years.
Lifting the demand is easy for you because that's what you do. You sell ideas, you sell things.
Well, I also have a very wonderful product to sell, so
Exactly.
you know.
How do you do that? I see it on CNN all the time. It's more fun in the Philippines.
Yes.
Where else do you market it and how do you market it?
Okay, the thing people have to understand, as fun as our slogan is, it is also a very competitive stance. Look at the line again. It actually says blank, whatever activity that is, swimming, scuba, whatever,
Right.
is more fun in the Philippines. It is Asia's only competitive selling line. Therefore, like I was telling an investment group this morning, quality of the experience or quality itself is not the benefit, it's our strategy. And that's essentially what we're doing now. We are raising the standards on hotel services by changing the way we're rating our hotels. A new rating system is going to be instituted. The Philippines is finally going back to the star rating system.
You mean
Okay.
we left it? I didn't
Yes,
even know that.
we actually technically had a different rating system going from economy class to standard to deluxe and first class,
Okay.
stuff like that. So when you go back to a star rating system, you actually have to have an entirely new rating program, which is what we're doing. We are involving the LGUs more.
Why are people coming back? Are first timers coming back?
Yes, that's part of the phenomenon. But the bigger phenomenon, I think, is Filipinos are actually supporting the brand more. You see, more fun in the Philippines is a proposition based on the Filipino,
Yes.
not the place,
Right.
but the people.
Right.
And therefore, you need the buy-in of the population to do it. And once you have that, you have tremendous momentum. Like I pointed out the other day to someone. I said, you know, ultimately, the social media, for example, is what drove this.
Exactly.
It's Filipinos believing that their country was worth a visit that makes the biggest difference.
Let's take a short break. News Cafe will return after these messages. You are still watching News Cafe on the Solar News Channel, and we are revisiting the best episodes of News Cafe. Over the years, social media has become the norm in practicing journalism and has since played a crucial role on how news reporting is being done today. As one of the top users of social media, Filipinos are always online, and therefore news agencies have had to evolve to cater to their audience's new mode of media consumption.
What's the difference between a blogger and a social media journalist? We hear about multimedia journalism. Does this include bloggers?
Actually, blogger is a more general term, and a journalist is just one kind of blogger. We have so many kinds of bloggers. You have a fashion blogger. Actually, anybody can be a blogger. You just put up a site. You go to WordPress, you know, Blogspot, and then you just upload photos, your thoughts, and that's a blogger.
Anything that catches your interest or what you're
Yes.
passionate about, you can
Yes.
blog about it.
And a journalist, well, you have to keep certain standards. And usually when you're a journalist, you have to verify, and you have to always try to be fair. If you're talking about somebody, you try to get the source to you know, get his feedback before you can put it up.
So, Carlo, is social media a better outlet for news, or does it complement it?
Well, it's really complementary in its nature. At the end of the day, nothing can still beat right now the reach, especially here in the Philippines, of TV and radio. No, internet still penetrates a certain amount of people. I mean, the penetration hasn't really reached crazy levels yet, as we see with mass media. But the people using social media and the internet, of course, is a very different group, and they're the ones who always check their phones, check their devices. So whatever news stations or reporters tweet, parang it's in a way they're like subscribed already to what those news outlets say. So it's a quick way for people to get their news. And there's this saying nga na parang the news finds you now on social networks. When you're on Facebook, you're checking stuff, and suddenly something comes up. And then that's how you find out, that's what happened pala with Senator ganito, or that's what happened with ganyan. You weren't actually going to the news website. You were just, checking out pictures of your friends.
Even on Twitter, you can already get updated
Then
on what's
it will
happening.
just pop out on your feed now. Oh, Senator Soto did this.
Okay, you said once in your article that TV and digital are connected at the hip. What does this mean for the 2013 campaign?
I actually mentioned that during, it was part of a speech during the Internet and Mobile Marketing Association Summit last year in November. So basically this is a great takeoff point from what you said, Raisa, about the ripple effect of social media and digital. Wherein because traditional outlets follow social media and they really make it a point to monitor and check out what people are talking about, what people are reacting to, what people are sharing, and you can actually quantify it because you can see how many people shared a particular article. There's a tendency for whatever is online to get featured on TV, to get featured on radio, to get featured on print. So, if this is the circle of influence of digital here in the Philippines, it gets magnified several times because of TV, radio, and print. And I say that it's connected because before, when you're on TV, you really don't know you really can't get feedback. Now, whatever, who knows, people are probably tweeting right now about what we're talking. So there's the phone, internet, texting, or any other kind of technology. It's a way for people to react to what they see on TV, what they read on print, what they hear on radio. So I think that's why I think it's connected.
In your manifesto, it said that you unleash the inner hero. So how does Dakila, how do you make it happen?
If you notice that all the hero mythologies, they focus on one specific strength, no? So what happens with us is that every member, you have one particular talent that you want to, utilize for something noble. I hate to use the word, but
It's a good word.
It's a good word. It's
Based
a good
on it,
word
diba?
that-
Dakila.
it's a good word that eradicates the jadedness in us. Like,
Pero picking up from that, you have to remember that the root word of nobility is noble. For us, when we say nobility, laging mayaman. It's not rich. Nobility are those who are noble, meaning generous, thinking of others first.
in
And
the
that's
same way
pretty
that
much
the
it.
idea of ilustrado, hindi lang yung mayaman.
Parang when you're faced with high school students or college students, you really have no business being snarky.
Yeah.
You have no business being snarky about lack of faith in the country or etc. Because you know that there are so many things going on, the more you should actually point towards optimism or etc. Dakila and Rocket are talagang magkapatid yan. We're Rocket volunteers. We have, natawag doon, sa Venn diagram, we have many people in common and we really support each other. At least we're such big fans of Dakila. When we started Rocket, I was very relieved that half a year later, Dakila officially launched because Rocket is for high school and college and we cannot take up aggressively certain issues. What does that mean? Hindi kami pwedeng mag-super aggressive kasi ang mandate ng Rocket is to provide info so that the young can decide on their own if they want to rally, protest, or not.
And it's
But
still ongoing.
It's still ongoing. It's
And
very
then
tough because there's certain issues that I really want to take a solid stand on, but I purposely don't because if I do, we might not be invited to schools as much. For example, if I may speak freely, for example, the RH bill. I can't take a solid stand on it because the Catholic educators invite us to their schools and we don't want them to stop inviting us
And
to
she used to
schools.
be a Catholic educator herself.
I think Dakila is the brave, more set and braver voice that expresses an issue creatively.
Yeah.
With Rocket naman, we creatively explain.
One of our more memorable episodes was when we introduced some of the best artists from various fields who have given the country pride and recognition, both here and abroad.
Anong hinahanap nyo? Joan, ikaw, anong hinahanap mo pag nasa labas ka, kumuha ka ng litrato? On an ordinary day, nasa beat ka, ano yung hinahanap mong klaseng litrato?
Kasi pag nagsushoot ako, may ano yan eh. Parang may beat eh, may musika. Tapos kapag
Naririnig mo sa ulo mo?
Parang
Sa sarili mo?
sa mudo. Tapos kapag kunyari, nagpunta ako sa isang lugar, tapos ang dami-daming eksena, di ba? Tapos kapag kami nakita kong kakaiba, tapos pag pinitikan ko, parang eto na. Eto na. Tapos yung pwede na akong umalis kasi ano na ako.
Nakuha mo na?
Nakuha ko na.
Tato Hill, ano yung hinahanap mo sa everyday, sa presidente?
Gano'n, no? Pag empleyado kasi tayo ng publication, kahit ngayon, bilang empleyado kasi tayo, no? May requirement sila eh.
Okay.
Sa bawat dyaryo, hindi yung gusto mong masusunod eh.
Yung gusto nila?
Gusto ng editor.
Yung assignment mo?
Oo. Kaya nga yung pati pag-shoot mo, alam mo na hindi gagamitin to eh.
Okay.
So, ang hahanapin mo, yung gagamitin nila. Kasi gusto mong ma-publish eh. So, kung tutusin, ang nangyayari, yung lumalabas, hindi naman yung gusto mo eh.
Okay.
Yung gusto ng publisher o ng editor.
Okay. So, editorial control?
Oo. Hindi mawawala yun. Ganon din dito sa trabaho ko ngayon. Ano? Meron din kaming may iniiwasan na mga ano.
Pero nangyari na ba na may kinunan ka na gusto mo? na nagamit din?
Oo.
Meron din.
Oo. Marami rin. Kasi medyo ano na kasi yun, naanggulahan mo na ng tama yun. Ito yung gusto mong eksena, kaya na may anggulo ka na dapat na ayusin para lumabas yung, magamit yung gusto mo.
Habang nagdo-drawing sila, I'd like to show something. Si Harvey, meron palang style ng mga Filipino comic book artists. Yung mga trabaho nila, nilalagyan nila ng mga bagay na para mahalatang Pilipino ang gumawa. If you can focus on this, etong logo na to na nasa barrel, makikita nyo mga alien to, no? Pero ito logo ng Red Horse Beer. Ito naman, si Harvey din, ha? Foreign Sea, no? Sa universe ng Marvel to, no?
Yes.
P. Zamora Cubao. Yung address, na nakalagay. P. Zamora Cubao. 1. Number 2, ito, logo na naman ng San Miguel Beer. Number 2. Pangatlo, on the same page. Ito, hulaan niyo kung sino to. Guys, boxing. Sino to? Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao. May pinakita pa si Harvey sa akin kanina in the other pages, si Manny Pacquiao din. So, everything that is Filipino, hinahalo nila.
Kasi, like, if you're from the States, one of my comics is Wolverine is drinking San Miguel Light. So, if you're from the States, alam mo talaga, Pinoy nag-drawing nito. San Miguel Light is in the Philippines. But it's available in the US, but they know na may touch talaga ng Pinoy. And
and of course, San Miguel Beer is one of the best symbols of the Filipino.
And one part of it is a cereal, flavored sisig. So it's Philippines, So yun yung masaya na part doon para sa akin.
How was a comic book born? Saan ang gumising? Sa storya muna, no? The writer?
Mostly the writer will do the concept of everything. Tapos isi-send niya sa editor. The editor will like, this kind of story, mababagay to kay Hubert, mababagay to kay Harvey. Because Harvey can
may
do...
style.
May mga strengths kasi din yung bawat
So, bawat artist may strengths. So, if they're gonna send us to us, then babasahin namin, they give us few, like 2 or 3 days to realize kung ano, gusto ko ba? Tatanungin, they always ask you. Because kung hindi ka rin komportable na magtrabaho, ayaw ko, hindi maging maganda resulta. Then you do all the thumbnail sketches, send it to them, and say, okay, good to go.
Who are watching us, let's start with Hubert. What can you tell the young kids who want to become like you someday?
Napag-usapan natin kanina, di ba, yung we followed our hearts.
Yeah.
So siguro, to sum it all up, yun lang ang isa sa pinaka-important na gawin nila eh. No, follow their hearts. Hindi lang sa art. If they want to sing, then keep on singing.
Yeah.
Diba? So ganun din sa drawing. If you want to draw, keep on drawing. Kasi kahit sabihin na natin cliche yung sinasabi nila mag-practice ka na mag-practice. Kasi art is a talent. Diba? Drawing is talent. Pero kailangan back-upan din siya ng skill. And you won't learn those skills if you don't practice.
Sabi nga ng dad, ng tatay ko na there's no such thing as an original daw. Everything is a copy from reality. So like, pag gumagawa-gawa ka parang alien, but minsan parang influenced by a mango, nilagyan mo lang ng mata. So, di ba, parang...
Kapitbahay mo.
Kapitbahay mo or anything.
But everything... papangitin, gano'n.
Parang kopya lang talaga na parang itong baso, pwede mo gawing robot with everything. So, sabi ng dad ko na parang try to start your learning by copying somebody's work or somebody's object. Kasi doon daw talaga mo malalaman na paano niya ginawa to. Paano to ginawa ni Hubert na ba't ganito yung atake niya ng drawing. So, by copying it, you learn. Pero ang problema din kasi ng iba na nakikita ko, copying sila. Tapos sinasabi nila, this is my original. And the real artist will hate you forever.
Of course.
Oh, of course.
We would like to thank all of our guests who have joined us in the past year, giving us insights on the role of media today. Join us again next Thursday on our new time slot at 7 p.m. here on News Cafe. I'm Mitzi Borromeo. Good night.
Sa bukod, yun ang nakasalanan ng video.
Media educators and journalists called to become press freedom.